Success isn't about speed, it's about direction. Your path doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. It only needs to make sense to you. The road may twist, the pace may slow, but as long as you stay focused, you'll never be lost.
Clarity is not just about knowing what you want. It's about understanding why you want it. Most people wake up each morning chasing goals that were never truly theirs. They follow trends, expectations, or the paths that society labels as success. But clarity is not about chasing, it's about aligning. It's about standing still long enough to hear the quiet voice inside you that whispers, "This is who you are meant to become." Without clarity, even the most talented minds lose their way. You can have ambition, drive, and intelligence, but if you lack direction, all your energy scatters into noise. Clarity turns noise into purpose. It transforms confusion into movement. It gives every step meaning.
When we talk about focusing on your path, we must first ask a deeper question. Do you know what your path truly is? Because if you don't, you will keep walking in circles, mistaking motion for progress. The truth is, clarity does not arrive in a single moment of inspiration. It is discovered through reflection, through mistakes, through stillness. It is born in moments when you pause and ask yourself, what am I doing this for? Too many people try to fix their lives by working harder, by running faster, by doing more. But the problem is not speed, it's direction. Clarity is what tells you where to go before you decide how to get there. Every great leader, every visionary, every individual who has left a mark on this world had one thing in common. They were clear about their purpose. They didn't always know the how, but they always knew the why. The why is what gives power to the path. It keeps you anchored when everything around you begins to shake. When you are clear about your purpose, distractions lose their power over you. The noise fades, the opinions of others no longer carry the same weight. You stop seeking validation because you have already validated yourself.
Clarity is not about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to admit what you truly want. That's the hardest part, being honest with yourself, because honesty forces you to confront the gap between where you are and where you wish to be. And most people would rather live comfortably lost than face the discomfort of clarity. But the moment you become clear, something shifts. The fog begins to lift. You start to see the small steps that lead you forward. You stop trying to be everywhere and start focusing on being somewhere.
Think about how a lens works. When it's blurry, no matter how much light you have, you can't see clearly. But the moment you focus that lens, even a faint light becomes sharp and powerful. That's what clarity does to the mind. It sharpens your vision. You begin to see opportunities that were always there but hidden behind distraction. You begin to notice patterns, lessons, directions. Life stops being random. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Clarity transforms chaos into guidance. And here's something most people overlook. Clarity doesn't just change your path. It changes your behavior. When you know what matters most, you naturally begin to say no to what doesn't. You become selective about how you spend your time, who you spend it with, and what energy you allow into your life. You stop chasing everything because you finally realize not everything deserves to be chased. Your goals become fewer but deeper. Your vision becomes smaller but stronger. You start building something real, something sustainable. Clarity is what turns someday into today. Without it, people drift. They move from one job to another, one relationship to another, one dream to another, always searching but never finding. But with clarity, even the smallest step feels meaningful because you know where it leads. You stop needing instant results because you trust your direction. You no longer measure progress in miles, but in purpose. Each day becomes a piece of your mission, and every struggle becomes a necessary lesson. There's a calm that comes with clarity. It's not loud or dramatic. It's quiet, grounded, confident. You no longer need to prove yourself because you're too busy living your truth. The path becomes less about winning and more about becoming. And once you find that kind of peace, you'll never trade it for noise again. So how do you find clarity? You don't find it in the crowd. You find it in solitude, in silence, in moments when you step away from the constant rush of life and allow your mind to breathe. You find it when you stop asking what others expect from you and start asking what you expect from yourself. You find it when you stop running from your truth and start walking toward it, one step at a time.
Clarity is a decision. a daily one. It's choosing to pause before reacting, to think before chasing, to align before acting. It's a promise you make to yourself, to stay faithful to your direction even when the world tries to pull you away. And while clarity may take time, it's always worth the wait. Because once you have it, you no longer wonder, you move with purpose, you no longer question your worth, you embody it, you no longer chase success, you attract it by walking in alignment with who you truly are.
We live in a world where comparison has become second nature. Every scroll, every swipe, every glance at someone else's success becomes a mirror we hold against ourselves. We measure our worth by someone else's highlight reel, forgetting that what we see is never the full story. Comparison is seductive because it gives us the illusion of direction. It feels like motivation, but in truth, it's distraction. It steals focus from our path and redirects it towards someone else's. The moment you start comparing your journey to another person's, you start abandoning your own. The problem with comparison is that it quietly replaces purpose with competition. You stop asking, what do I want to create, and start asking, how can I be better than them? That shift in focus seems harmless, but it changes everything. You begin chasing goals that were never meant for you. You start pursuing timelines that don't belong to you. You start resenting progress that isn't even relevant to your purpose. And slowly, you lose sight of your own direction. Growth doesn't happen when you compete with others. It happens when you compete with who you were yesterday. Every path is different because every person is different. You cannot measure the depth of your roots by the height of someone else's tree. Some people bloom early. Others take years to rise above the soil. Some run fast but burn out quickly. Others walk slowly but never stop. There's no universal timeline for success. The world may try to convince you otherwise, but life isn't a race. It's a rhythm. You have your own pace, your own seasons, your own moments of growth and pause. When you compare, you break that rhythm. You rush when you should rest, and you doubt when you should trust. Comparison doesn't only create insecurity, it breeds fear. Fear that you're not doing enough, fear that you're too late, fear that you're falling behind. But the truth is, behind every confident face you see is someone battling their own insecurities. Behind every overnight success are years of unseen struggle, doubt, and sacrifice. The people you compare yourself to are also comparing themselves to someone else. No one has it all figured out. We are all learning, failing, growing, just at different stages and speeds. Imagine walking on a mountain trail. You're focused on your footing, your breath, your next step. Then you look up and see someone higher on the path. Suddenly what was once peaceful becomes pressure. You start climbing faster. Your breathing quickens. Your steps become sloppy. You trip, stumble, and lose balance. Not because the path changed, but because your focus did. That's what comparison does. It takes your eyes off your own progress and puts them on someone else's peak. But what you don't see is the part of their path that you haven't walked yet. The struggles, the storms, the moments that shaped their climb. Growth requires focus, and focus requires presence. When you compare, you abandon the present moment. You stop learning from your own process because you're too busy judging it. But growth is not visible in the mirror of comparison. It's felt in the quiet satisfaction of knowing you're becoming better than you were. Every small improvement, every step forward, every lesson learned, that's your real progress. You don't need to look sideways to validate it. You just need to keep walking. The most dangerous thing about comparison is that it blinds you to your uniqueness. You forget that your combination of experiences, strengths, and perspectives has never existed before. There is no one like you, and there never will be. That alone makes your path incomparable. When you start embracing that truth, comparison loses its power. You stop trying to fit into someone else's mold and start creating your own design. You start finding joy in your own rhythm instead of chasing someone else's applause. True growth is not loud. It's not about public recognition or visible milestones. It's about private victories, the moments when you choose patience over pressure, gratitude over envy, and purpose over approval. The world may never see those moments, but they are the foundation of lasting growth. Comparison teaches you to look outward, but real progress demands that you look inward, because the only person you're meant to surpass is the version of you that doubted, hesitated, or gave up yesterday. When you stop comparing, something incredible happens. You start celebrating others without feeling smaller. You start admiring success without questioning your own worth. You start building connections based on inspiration, not competition. You realize that someone else's victory doesn't mean your defeat. It means possibility exists. It shows you what's achievable, not what's impossible. The success of others is not a threat. It's evidence that growth is within reach.
It's easy to say don't compare, but comparison is a habit that must be unlearned. You do it not by suppressing it, but by replacing it. Replace comparison with curiosity. Instead of asking, why are they ahead of me? Ask, what can I learn from them? Replace envy with empathy. Instead of seeing someone's success as proof of your inadequacy, see it as inspiration for what's possible on your own journey. Replace competition with connection. Because the truth is, we grow faster when we support each other rather than race against each other.
You cannot control where others are on their journey, but you can control how you walk yours. Focus on your progress, your growth, your evolution. Every step forward, no matter how small, matters, because your value isn't determined by comparison, it's defined by authenticity. You are not meant to be better than anyone else. You are meant to be the fullest expression of yourself. When you finally understand that, you stop running someone else's race and start mastering your own. The only scoreboard that matters is the one you set for yourself. The only victory that counts is becoming a little wiser, a little kinder, a little stronger than you were yesterday. Because real growth doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need validation, it simply needs focus. The kind that looks straight ahead, not sideways. Life has a way of testing our patience, our plans, and our perception of progress. You set a goal, you draw your path, and you start walking with determination, only to find that life suddenly shifts the road beneath your feet. What you thought would be a straight path becomes a winding trail filled with unexpected turns, pauses, and obstacles. These are the detours, the unplanned stops and surprising shifts that seem to pull you away from your destination. And yet these detours are often where life does its most important work. Because while goals give direction, detours give depth. They shape who you become on the way to where you're going. We are conditioned to believe that success is linear, a steady climb toward the top. But in truth, no great story has ever been a straight line. Every meaningful journey is filled with setbacks, delays, and redirections that at first feel like failures. You lose an opportunity, and it feels like the end. You take a wrong turn, and it feels like wasted time. But what if it's not wasted at all? What if every delay is a lesson in disguise, preparing you for something greater than you planned for yourself? The detours we resist often become the defining moments that give our path meaning. When you're on your path, and life throws you off balance, it's easy to believe you've made a mistake. But the truth is, the path you think you're on is only part of the picture. There's a bigger design at work, one that sees what you can't. Sometimes the door that closes isn't punishment, it's protection. Sometimes the silence you face isn't rejection, it's redirection. Sometimes you lose something because you're being prepared for something stronger, something that fits your purpose more deeply. The problem is we only realize this in hindsight. But the key is to trust it in the moment, even when it makes no sense. Detours teach you patience. The kind of patience that builds resilience instead of resentment. They remind you that the journey isn't just about reaching your goal, it's about growing into the person capable of holding that goal. You can't rush that kind of growth. It's built through uncertainty, frustration, and perseverance. Every time you face a setback, you are being asked one simple question: will you still move forward, even when it doesn't look like progress? That's where the strength of focus is truly tested, not when things go as planned, but when nothing goes according to plan. Sometimes a detour doesn't just slow you down, it completely changes your direction. Maybe you started down one road, thinking you knew exactly what you wanted, and somewhere along the way, your vision shifted. You discovered a new passion, a new purpose, a new version of yourself. That's not failure, that's evolution. Growth often requires surrendering what no longer fits the person you're becoming. And if you're too attached to your original map, you might miss the chance to find the path that was actually meant for you. Life isn't about forcing the route, it's about flowing with the real journey that unfolds beneath your feet. The beauty of a detour is that it exposes you to experiences you would have never chosen for yourself. Experiences that expand your perspective and deepen your understanding. You meet people you wouldn't have met, you develop skills you never thought you'd need, you build endurance in ways that no easy path could have taught you. Every delay, every challenge, every disappointment is refining you. It's sanding down your rough edges,
strengthening your resolve, and aligning your purpose. When you look back, you'll realize those detours were not interruptions. They were the real path all along.
There's a quiet power in surrendering to the unknown. When you stop resisting the detours, you start noticing their lessons. You begin to see how each obstacle forced you to grow, how each closed door redirected your energy, how each delay taught you humility and faith. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That simple shift transforms frustration into gratitude. Because once you understand that every part of your path serves a purpose, even the painful parts begin to make sense.
We often think focus means moving in a straight line, but true focus means staying committed even when the line bends. It's about trusting that you're still on the right path even when you can't see the destination. Focus doesn't mean you ignore change. It means you adapt without losing sight of your purpose. The most successful people are not the ones who had the smoothest path. They are the ones who turned their detours into directions. They didn't quit when things fell apart. They paused, learned, adjusted, and kept walking.
Think about nature. Rivers don't flow in straight lines. They twist, turn, and carve their way through the landscape, yet they always reach the ocean. The river doesn't fight the rocks, it flows around them. It doesn't stop when the path gets narrow, it finds another way through. That's what embracing detours looks like, flowing instead of forcing. Because the goal is not just to reach the destination, but to arrive wiser, stronger, and more grounded than when you started. There's a quiet wisdom in understanding that timing is as important as direction. You might be ready to move, but life might not be ready to receive you. Detours are how the universe synchronizes your readiness with opportunity. If things take longer than you expected, it's not because you're behind, it's because you're being aligned. The lessons you learn on the detour become the foundation for the moment when everything finally clicks into place. And when it does, you'll realize that nothing was wasted. Every delay served a purpose. Every pause built strength. Every step, even the ones that felt backward, moved you forward in ways you couldn't see at the time. Embracing the detours doesn't mean giving up control. It means trusting the process. It means understanding that the path to purpose is rarely comfortable, but it's always necessary. When you accept that your journey won't be perfect, you stop fearing the unexpected and start learning from it. You start appreciating the slow seasons, the uncertain moments, the quiet stretches where nothing seems to happen, because those are the moments when transformation is taking place beneath the surface. The path may twist and turn, but it's still leading you exactly where you're meant to be. Motivation is powerful, but it's unreliable. It's that surge of energy that makes you feel unstoppable until it disappears. You wake up one morning feeling ready to conquer the world, and the next you can barely find the strength to start. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. It's unpredictable, emotional, and fleeting. Discipline, however, is the anchor that keeps you steady when the waves of motivation fade. It's not about feeling ready, it's about showing up even when you don't. Discipline is the silent force that separates those who dream from those who do. Most people believe they need to feel inspired before they can take action. But the truth is the opposite. Action creates inspiration. The moment you start, the moment you move, momentum builds. Waiting for motivation to arrive before taking action is like waiting for perfect weather before planting a seed. You'll never begin. Discipline is what moves you forward through the days when everything in you wants to stop. It's the ability to honor your commitments long after the excitement has worn off. When you're focused on your path, discipline becomes the bridge between your vision and your reality. Every great achievement, every meaningful goal, every fulfilled dream, they all share one thing in common: consistent effort. Not grand bursts of inspiration, but small repeated actions carried out with purpose. It's not glamorous, it's not loud. It's often unseen, but it's what builds the foundation for success that lasts. Motivation starts the engine, but discipline keeps the car moving when the road gets rough. There's a reason so many people start strong and fade away. They mistake excitement for commitment. They think passion will sustain them, but passion without discipline burns out. The truth is, discipline often feels boring. It's waking up early when no one's watching. It's practicing the same skill over and over again. It's saying no to distractions that offer instant pleasure in exchange for long-term progress. Discipline is not built in comfort. It's built in resistance. It's built in the moments you choose progress over excuses, consistency over chaos, purpose over impulse. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. It means persistence. It means accepting that some days will feel heavy, some steps will be slower, and some efforts will fall short. But you keep going anyway. You keep moving because you've made a promise to yourself that your dreams are worth the effort. When you rely only on motivation, your progress becomes emotional. When you rely on discipline, your progress becomes inevitable. There's something deeply empowering about discipline because it puts the power back in your hands. Motivation depends on external triggers. An inspiring quote, a success story, a good mood, but discipline depends on you. It's not a feeling you wait for, it's a choice you make. It's waking up and saying, I may not feel like it today, but I'm still going to do it. It's choosing to stay faithful to your path, even when the results are invisible. Because true focus means doing the right thing, not just when it feels right, but especially when it doesn't.
The disciplined person understands that success is not achieved in giant leaps. It's built in quiet, repetitive steps. It's in the daily habits that seem insignificant but eventually create transformation. You don't become strong by lifting a heavy weight once. You become strong by lifting small weights consistently. You don't master your craft by working hard for a week. You master it by showing up every day, refining, adjusting, and learning. Discipline is the rhythm of greatness, steady, unwavering, patient.
And here's the truth. Discipline is freedom. It may sound paradoxical, but the more disciplined you are, the freer you become. When you're disciplined, you control your time instead of letting your time control you. You control your habits instead of being ruled by them. You gain freedom from regret, from inconsistency, from the anxiety that comes with unfinished goals. Discipline gives you the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're moving in the right direction, even if the pace is slow.
Motivation asks, how do I feel today? Discipline says it doesn't matter how I feel. This is what I do. That's the difference between a wish and a commitment. Motivation fades when life gets difficult, but discipline grows stronger under pressure, because discipline is forged in adversity. It's shaped in the moments when quitting seems easier, when progress feels invisible, when doubt starts whispering that maybe it's not worth it. Those are the moments when you prove to yourself that your purpose is stronger than your comfort. The path to mastery, whether it's in business, art, fitness, or personal growth, is not about who's the most talented, it's about who's the most consistent. Talent might give you a head start, but discipline keeps you in the race. It's the quiet worker who shows up every day, who doesn't complain, who doesn't seek validation, who just does the work. That's the person who ends up winning, because discipline compounds. Every small act of discipline builds upon the last until the results become undeniable. There will be days when you doubt yourself, when you feel tired, uninspired, or lost. Discipline is what reminds you why you started. It's what gets you out of bed when your mind wants to rest. It's what helps you take that one more step, make that one more call, write that one more page. Discipline doesn't require emotion, it requires intention. It's a daily decision to honor your path, to respect your vision, and to live in alignment with what you said you wanted. You will not always feel motivated, and that's okay, because motivation was never meant to carry you the whole way. It's the spark that starts the fire, but discipline is what keeps it burning. Without discipline, even the brightest fire burns out, but with it, even the smallest flame can light up the darkest road. Discipline is the heartbeat of progress, the quiet power behind every success story, and the truest expression of focus on your path.
There comes a moment in every journey when you realize that recognition is temporary, but impact is timeless. Applause fades. It always does. The cheers that once motivated you will eventually quiet down, and when they do, what remains is the question, did I build something that lasts? Legacy is not measured by how loudly people clap for you, but by how deeply your work continues to speak long after you're gone. The true measure of success is not found in the spotlight, but in the shadows where character, purpose, and integrity are built. We live in a time where applause has become a currency. People chase validation as if it's proof of worth. Every comment, every compliment becomes a small hit of approval, convincing us that we are seen, that we are enough. But the danger in chasing applause is that it makes you dependent on noise. It teaches you to perform, not to purpose. You start creating not because it feels true, but because it feels popular. You start measuring success not by the value you create, but by the reaction you receive. Slowly, without realizing it, you trade authenticity for acceptance. Legacy, on the other hand, is built in silence. It's not about the momentary thrill of being noticed. It's about the enduring peace of knowing you made a difference. Legacy is what happens when you do the right thing, even when no one's watching. It's what you leave behind in people's hearts, not what you collect in their applause. Applause feeds the ego. Legacy nourishes the soul. One is fleeting, the other is forever. When you focus on your path, you must choose which one matters more: to be celebrated for a moment, or to be remembered for a lifetime. The truth is, chasing applause will always keep you performing, but building legacy will keep you evolving. The applause-driven life is about the legacy-driven life is about being useful, and usefulness doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's misunderstood. Sometimes it's even criticized. But in the end, it's the most meaningful way to live. Applause seeks the spotlight. Legacy builds the foundation. The spotlight shines bright, but burns fast. It gives you visibility, but not necessarily fulfillment. You can have fame without purpose, success without peace, recognition without real respect. But when you live for legacy, you begin to build something that matters, something that outlives your name, your position, your time. You focus less on how many people are watching and more on what kind of mark you are leaving on those who do. Legacy is born when your actions align with your values. It's built when you make decisions not for popularity, but for principle. It's built when you choose to do the right thing, even when it's inconvenient, even when it costs you something. Legacy is built in consistency, in showing up, in leading by example, in doing your work with integrity, whether or not anyone acknowledges it. The applause you seek today might make you feel good, but the legacy you build will make you feel proud. There's a quiet kind of greatness that never makes headlines, but changes lives. It's the teacher who inspires a generation to dream differently. It's the leader who treats their team with kindness when no one's watching. It's the artist who creates not for fame, but for truth. These people understand something most don't, that the purpose of their path is not to be admired, but to serve. And when service becomes your mission, legacy naturally follows. This focusing on legacy requires patience, because legacy takes time. You can earn applause overnight, but you build legacy over years. It's not instant and it's not easy. It demands that you show up when no one notices. It asks you to plant seeds knowing you may never sit under their shade. It teaches you to trust that your impact will unfold long after your efforts are forgotten. That's the kind of purpose that keeps you grounded. Because when you work for legacy, your fulfillment comes from the doing, not the recognition. Applause often makes people restless. They crave more, need more, chase more. But legacy creates peace. When you know you're building something meaningful, you stop competing for attention. You stop measuring your worth through others' opinions. You stop rushing for validation because you've already validated yourself through purpose. You begin to live in alignment with your truth, and that alignment becomes your strength. There's something powerful about the shift from look at me to learn from me. That shift is the birth of legacy. It's when you stop using your platform to impress and start using it to impact. And you focus on leaving behind wisdom instead of just memories, guidance instead of noise, substance instead of spectacle. You create something that echoes far beyond your time. Legacy is not about being remembered for being great. It's about being remembered for doing good. In every stage of your journey, you'll face the temptation to chase recognition, because recognition feels good. But here's the truth. Applause can't sustain you when things get hard. It can't give you peace when you're alone. It can't fill the space that only purpose can fill. Legacy, on the other hand, keeps you steady. It reminds you why you started. It gives meaning to your sacrifices. It helps you stay focused when distractions try to pull you away. Legacy is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's built every time you choose to act with integrity, when it would be easier to compromise. It's built every time you lift someone else up, instead of pushing them down. It's built every time you put your values before your image. Those choices accumulate piece by piece, until one day they form the story people will tell about you, not because you demanded attention, but because you lived in a way that deserved it. And maybe the greatest truth about legacy is that you don't get to define it. Others do. You can't control how people will remember you, but you can control how you live right now. You can control the energy you bring, the example you set, the lives you touch. That's where legacy begins, in the everyday choices that seem small but carry immense weight. It's not built in one grand moment, but in a lifetime of intention, humility, and purpose. When you live for legacy over applause, you stop chasing temporary satisfaction and start building lasting significance. You stop needing to be seen and start focusing on what you stand for. You stop seeking followers and start creating leaders. Because legacy isn't about what you achieve, it's about what you awaken in others. It's not about being remembered for being powerful, it's about being remembered for being purposeful. Every journey begins with a choice. The choice to focus on your path. No matter how uncertain it feels, the world will always try to pull your attention in 100 directions, tempting you with shortcuts, distractions, and comparisons. But your growth, your peace, and your purpose exist in the commitment to walk your own road, step by step. It starts with clarity, knowing not just what you want, but why you want it. It deepens when you stop comparing your journey to others, realizing that your timeline is not supposed to look like anyone else's. It strengthens when you embrace the detours, understanding that even the delays are shaping your destiny in ways you can't yet see. And as you move forward, it demands discipline, the quiet, steady force that keeps you showing up long after motivation fades. Because real progress is not made in bursts of inspiration. It's built through consistency, through showing up when it's hard, through believing in your direction even when the results are invisible. And finally, when you walk your path with integrity and purpose, you begin to understand that the goal was never applause, it was legacy. What matters is not how loudly the world claps for you, but how deeply your journey impacts others long after the noise fades. Focusing on your path is not just about reaching a destination. It's about becoming the kind of person who refuses to give up, who learns from every turn, and who leaves behind something meaningful with every step. Because at the end of the day, your path is yours alone, and the most powerful thing you can ever do is walk it with clarity, courage, discipline, and heart.